Hey, people, how y'all doing? Welcome to another message, another episode of Messages in the Madness with yours truly, Vernon Longhorn Davis. It is Sunday, 8 o'clock. I'm here, you're here. I thank you for being here. Hope you had a great, wonderful, fabulous week because guess what? I did. Yeah, well, I know I say that every week, but I did have a great and fabulous and wonderful week. Glad to see everybody. Thank you for stopping in, popping in. Got to make sure I shout out happy birthday to my brother, Dave Ulrich, man. Happy birthday to you, brother. Appreciate you. All that you have done. You and the family have done a lot to support. Thank you for your service, supported Longhorn Comedy, and I thank you for that. So I yeah, let me check a couple of things real quick because I got a new system and I just want to make sure everything is up and functioning and doing what it's supposed to do. Yep, I got an okay right there. And let's see, where am I at over here? Because, I'm still broadcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So, yep, just making sure everything is in place. Make sure you hit like or love, share the message tonight. Oh, really? So my background shut down. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. Otherwise, y'all gonna be staring at a green screen tonight. Y'all come on in. Have a seat. Appreciate y'all. Um, let's see if we can get it back. And okay, so that is what happens when okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. I bought a new computer, but I did not buy a graphics card. Because I figured my system would be enough. Well, I just learned the hard way that it's not. So, ta you get the green behind me tonight. So, hey, Miss Annette, good to see you. Hey, Miss Brown, good to see you. Miss Marion, Miss Annette. Hey, Miss Coley, Brother August, always great to see you as well. Glad everybody could make it tonight. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. So, tonight's message is well, I mean, I got to go back. I did enjoy building the computer. I did very much. So uh yeah, that's what happens when you don't put a graphics card in. But man, have you guys looked anyway? We're not even gonna get into that right now. Tonight's message is called When Being Right Costs You More Than You Think. Mm, how about that? Being right costs you more than you think. So let's get into it. Let me keep it real with you tonight. Have you ever been in a conversation where you knew you was right? And by the time it was over, you still lost. You ever been there? Not the argument. You won the argument, but you lost the moment. You lost the connection. You lost something you didn't even realize mattered until it was gone. We've all been there. You had the facts, you had the timing, you had the words, and you walked away thinking, I proved my point. But something didn't sit right because deep down, you realize winning the argument cost you more than it was worth. So tonight, we're not talking about being weak. We're not talking about letting people walk over you. We're talking about pride. We're talking about ego. We're talking about because see, we've been trained to think that being right equals being strong. But sometimes being right is just a distraction from being happy. Hmm. Well, hey, Miss Charlotte, how you doing? I'm sorry, I did not do that right earlier. Hey, Miss Lynette, how you doing? Yeah. So, August say sound like I'm talking to his ex-wife. That's funny. Um, yeah, we're talking about the cost. I'm sorry, the quiet cost of always needing to be right. And we all know some people like that. They just got to be right. There's no two ways about it. They got to be right. That's all it is. Being right feels good. It does. There's something in all of us that wants to be heard. We want to be understood. We want to be validated. And when that gets challenged, we show up ready. We show up ready not to understand, but we show up ready to win. That's what we show up ready to do. And when your goal is to win, you stop listening. Done. When your goal is to win, you stop learning. And you stop seeing the person in front of you and only focus on the point you're trying to make or the point you're trying to prove. That's not strength. That's ego working overtime. Ego doesn't always show up loud. It don't. Sometimes it shows up in silence. It shows up when you know you should apologize, but you don't. You just don't, because your ego won't let you. Your pride won't let you. It shows up when you realize you hurt somebody, but you justify it. It shows up when you could fix it in one sentence, but your pride won't let you do it. It just will not let you say it. That's pride. That's ego. And here's the part people don't talk enough about. Pride will have you take that back. Pride will have you paying full price for something humility could have fixed for free. I'm going to say that again. Pride will have you paying full price for something humility could have fixed for free. And I want you to take a second and do a cost audit on your own life. Just think about it. Think about that person you haven't spoke to in 3 years, maybe longer. If I asked you why the silence, why did the silence start? You probably tell me you were right. And you might be right. You was right about whatever it was. You was right. You was right. You might have been 100% factually, historically, and morally correct. You might have been. But look at the bill you're paying. You're paying in missed holidays and birthdays. You're paying in what ifs. You're paying in that little knot that forms in your stomach every time their name comes up in conversation. Is being right worth that much of your life? Is it? We treat being right like it's a currency, like it's money, like it's gold. But you can't buy happiness with it. You can't buy nothing with it. You can't buy a good night's sleep with it. You can only buy isolation. That's what you get with that. Yeah. Sometimes the most expensive thing you can own is a point you refuse to let go of. And that's a very expensive point. So let me ask y'all something. Just put it in the comments. Don't tell me the story, but tell me the cost. What has been right cost you? The question is, what has being right cost you? Was it a friendship? Was it a business deal? Was it your peace of mind? Just drop the cost in the chat. Tell me tonight. Tell us tonight. What does it cost you because you had to be right? Okay. Brother Jerry, good to see you, my friend. How many relationships have been strained? Not because people didn't care, but because nobody wanted to go first. You ever notice how small things turn into big things? How people make a mountain out of a molehill? It starts with something simple, a comment, a misunderstanding, a tone of voice. And instead of saying, hey, that didn't sit right with me, we come back with energy. And it's not always good energy. We come back with that woo-wee energy. Now, they respond. Now, you respond. Now, we're not even talking about the original issue anymore. Now it's about who's right, who's what, who crossed the line first. And before you know it, you've built a wall over something that could have been solved with a conversation. That's not about intelligence. That's about ego. That's about ego. Hey, I thank y'all for your honesty this evening. Jerry says jobs and happiness. August says peace of mind. Annette says years with my mom. Thank y'all for being honest. Let me give you a real example. Just the other day, me and Mr. Net and I drove 2.5 hours to go buy a vehicle. We were going to buy a 2022 Lincoln Navigator L. Why? Because that's my dream car, my dream truck. Now, when you drive that far to go buy something, go look at something, you're already halfway committed. In your mind, you're thinking, yeah, more than likely we coming back with something. So when we got there, because I called ahead, made sure it was all set up and it was clean and everything. And when we got there, the vehicle was exactly what I was looking for. It was exactly what I wanted. It was black on black. I mean, it was limousine clean. To be honest, it looked so good. I would have bought it right then and there without even test driving it. But y'all know me, that wasn't going to happen. Think about that for a second. Limo clean. From the outside, that vehicle looked perfect. It did. It looked perfect. It looked like the answer to the search, because I've been looking since November of last year when I hit the deer. But it was perfect. It looked like the answer to exactly what I've been looking for. But but it isn't that. But isn't that how we present ourselves sometimes? We make sure that the paint is polished. We make sure the presentation is black on black and sleek. We show the world the version of us that looks like, yeah, it's got it all together. But just like that navigator, life happens. Life happens on the road. You can look right into the driveway, but the truth comes out when you start moving. It looks great in the driveway. It does. Well, we had it all mapped out. We'd already planned to stop Ponderosa on the way home to celebrate. Presentation was right. I mean, it couldn't have been no righter. Everything lined up until we got it on the road. We took it on the test drive. Something wasn't right. There was a vibration in the back. So I guess you could say the feel, the mechanical truth of the situation didn't match the limousine clean exactly. It didn't match the limousine clean exterior. So we took it back and said, hey, can you check this out before we move forward on buying this vehicle? Now, here's where it got interesting. They were ready to talk numbers, but they weren't ready to talk answers. Everything had to go through the salesperson. There was no manager involved with talking directly to us. So no flexibility, no real information to help us make a good decision. They couldn't tell us what was wrong with the vehicle. And we're sitting there and I'm thinking, I know how this is supposed to go. I've been around this business long enough to know what should have happened, who should have stepped in, and how this conversation should have went. I know how this should have been handled. And that part of me, that experience part, started to rise up. I'm talking about the expert energy. I wasn't standing there and in my head, I'm already writing I was standing there and already in my head, I'm already writing the script. on how I'm going to tear this whole process up. I'm thinking about the years I've spent understanding the car business. I could feel the heat in my chest. I could feel it. I could feel the words forming in the back of my throat, words that were 100% accurate. I knew what I was talking about. I could have told that salesperson exactly where their system was breaking down. I could have called for a manager and had a moment that would have left them speechless. I had the right to do it. I had the facts to back it up. But let's be real. Sometimes we do that because we think we're helping. We tell ourselves we're educating them. But if I'm being honest, in that moment, it wasn't about education, it was about validation. I wanted them to know who they were dealing with. I wanted them to respect the knowledge I brought to the table. But then I looked at Miss Nanette and I realized that if I chose to be the expert in that moment, I was going to ruin the rest of the day because I'm about to move some furniture verbally. We'd be driving back for 2.5 hours without that navigator. And with me venting, her listening to my frustrations, and both of us carrying that heavy energy all the way back to St. Louis. And I had to ask myself, is proving my situation to a stranger worth the next 3 hours of my peace? If you're with me, if you're hearing what I'm saying, just type I hear you in the chat. Put I hear you in the chat. So I didn't. I stayed calm. I said what we needed. We didn't get it. And I looked at Ms. Nanette and said, let's go. We got up and we headed to Ponderosa. Even though it was an hour out of the way, I needed that drive. I needed that time to talk to her. We sat at the table when we got to the restaurant and we really broke it down. We discussed what just happened. And I have to tell you, I needed that conversation just to get out of my head. See, there's something powerful about sitting across from someone who knows you, eating a meal, and just venting the expert out of your system, so that the man can come back and be where he's supposed to be. Me, I needed to get that expert out and let Vernon come back. We talked about the disappointment of the car, of the vehicle, but we also talked about the relief of not being tied to a bad decision or a bad deal, or feeding any more into that bad process because we chose to walk away quietly. Our dinner wasn't ruined, by a fight. I just, it wasn't ruined. It wasn't ruined by a fight that I had just won, because I would have won that fight. Our conversation was about moving on and looking for something else, not about some salesperson or manager's mistakes. We talked about the folks at the dealership, but before we left, we thanked them. We thanked the staff at the Ponderosa, and we parted ways with that situation. No deal, no new car, no new customer for them, but I had my peace. I could have been right in that moment. I could have stepped in, took over, made a point, proved what I knew, but what would that have changed? Tell me in the comments, what would that have changed? I'm trying to get you to think about what you said or what you may have said, and what would that have changed? Sometimes being right doesn't make the situation better. It just makes it louder. Yeah. Just because you can take control doesn't mean you always should. A lot of people Hear humility and think it means stay quiet. Don't speak up. Let people run over you. That's not it. Humility is knowing your value without needing validation. Being confident without needing to prove it. Being strong enough to say, I was wrong. Yeah. Being grounded enough to say, hey, I don't understand. Help me understand what's going on here. Help me understand what's going on with you. Help me understand how we can put this behind us. That's power, my friend. That is power. Hey, Buzz, good to see you. Yeah, we didn't stop insisting on the truth. We didn't. We didn't. August says peace and your money in your pocket. That's true. Brother Jerry says nobody ever wins a fight. In the end, there's only the side that loses less, and the wreck is left behind. The true warrior knows that feeding your ego by hurting another is just a slow form of suicide, breaking connections and poisoning peace. When you fight to win, you lose the person, you lose the trust, and you lose a piece of yourself. The highest form of strength is not constant confrontation. It is having the wisdom to walk away, making conflict unnecessary, and saying you're saving your energy for a battle worth winning. Man, we could just shut down the show right there, Jerry. Yeah, that's it right there. You're right, Miss Mary. Make it make sense. And they wasn't making it make sense. People don't make it make sense to us. That's why anyway. Annette says, I lost myself by not living in truth. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Buzz, you didn't open up a can of worms tonight. Thank you. He just creeps out the dark and just pow, and then creeps back into the dark. Again, humility is knowing your value without needing validation, being confident without needing to prove it, being strong enough to say, I was wrong, being grounded enough to say, help me understand. I bet you do, Buzz. That's power. It is power because it takes more strength to lower your guard than to raise your voice. It's easy to be loud. Anybody can be loud. You can go on social media right now and see thousands of people being loud and being right. They loud and they right. But it takes a different kind of man or woman to have the you can have the kill shot in a conversation and choose not to take it. You could have the words to just shut all this down and then not take it. That's what I call restrained strength. It's like a high power, like a high performance engine, like in a navigator. A navigator doesn't have to red line every time it leaves a stoplight just to prove it has a motor. The power is in the reserve. You know it's there. You know the power is there. So you don't have to prove it to the person in the lane next to you. You know, you see them people, you be at the stoplight and they gun it and they drive real fast to the next stoplight and then and then you pull up beside them and go, hey, okay. Uh-oh, sorry, Annette. There's power in the reserve. You ain't got to prove it. You know it's there. So you don't have to prove it to the person in the lane next to you. You ain't got to prove it to the person sitting next to you. You don't. When you know who you are and you know what you know, You don't need to win. You don't need to win the encounter to feel whole. You're already whole when you walk in the room. We talked about giving yourself some credit. You've been through things. All of us, we've all been through things. You've handled situations. You've handled situations people don't even know about. You've carried weight quietly. So why is it? So why is it you'll give grace to everybody else but yourself? So why is that? Hmm. And why is it? You'll fight to prove your point instead of fighting to protect your peace. Why is that? Sometimes the strongest move you can make is to step back and say, you know what? This isn't even worth it. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is to step back and say, you know what? This isn't even worth it. Not because you're wrong, but because you understand the bigger picture. So Jerry says, I watched my dad always having to be right. He had no friends and most feared him because he was loud. I never wanted to be like that. I only dig in when it matters, defending family and loved ones. I don't like to fight, but I am not afraid to bleed. I know that's right. August says sometimes you can just be silent and let people know silence is a perfect answer. Yes, it is. You're right. So let me ask you something. What are you really trying to win? Because if you win, if winning the moment costs you your peace, your connection, your growth, then what did you actually gain? What did you gain? What did you get? Real strength is knowing when to speak, knowing when to listen, and knowing when to let that shit go. That balance, that's where growth lives. Excuse me. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Berry. Sometimes you do gotta let God take the wheel. Buzz says becoming comfortable in your own ego is the best feeling as you know your own worth and your truth. What's that saying? The truth will set you free. Yes, it will. It will. It really will. And then says, I want a grown up to live with. I need to let 40 years of old shit. Okay. You ain't got to apologize. You just keeping it real. So let me ask you something. Again, what are you trying to win? Because if winning the moment costs you your peace, your connection, your growth, then what did you actually gain? Real strength is knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to let go. That balance, that's where growth lives. Let me leave you with this. We spend a lot of times trying to prove things. Prove we're right. Prove we know. Prove we deserve. And sometimes in the process of proving all of that, we lose something that actually matters more. We lose a moment. We lose a connection. We lose a relationship. Sometimes we lose our own peace. I'm with you, Coley. Tell it to me. Tell me my baby's ugly. Just tell me the truth. I ain't gonna be mad. Just tell me the truth. You ain't got. I'm too old to You ain't got to sugarcoat it. Just tell me like it is. I stood there the other day knowing exactly how that situation should have been handled. I knew. I had the knowledge. I had the experience. I had the ability to step in and take control. But I also had a choice. And I chose to stay in my place. Not because I didn't know, but because I didn't need to prove it. Now, let me ask you something. How many times have you held on to being right and lost something you wish you could have back, or lost someone you wish you could have back? That's the part we don't talk about. That's what humility protects. It protects your peace. It protects your relationship. It protects your growth. You don't have to win every argument, every dispute, every disagreement. You don't have to prove every point. You don't have to clap back at people. You don't have to respond to everything. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay grounded. So the next time you feel that urge to prove it, to correct it, to take control, ask yourself one question. What is this going to cost me? Because just because you can take control doesn't mean you always should. And sometimes the real win is knowing when not to play. And that's the message for tonight. For those of y'all that didn't catch it earlier, the message was when being wrong costs you more than you think. And that's just real. So I hope y'all enjoyed the message tonight. If you did, like, love, share. If you're on YouTube, follow me, subscribe to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. Like I said, we've been doing this for 5 years now, and every time I think about stopping, somebody gives me a reason to keep going, so I do. So with that being said, I'm going to say what I always say. I love you. God loves you. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself. Hug them kids for me. Give them a hug from me. Respect our vets. This has been another episode of Messages in the Madness with your host, Vernon Longhorn Davis. God bless you. $2.